Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. As you can tell from the title of this video, we are going to be reviewing some Sheglam eyeshadow palettes today. I've been absolutely obsessed with Sheglam lately. I really just seem to enjoy everything I buy from them. So when I saw these palettes, I just had to have them. You will see in a second why. First of all, I love traveling, so just the idea that these palettes have been inspired by different cities around the world really got me. And the art on the palettes is also amazing, not to mention the color stories. I will go through them one by one and show you my favorite shades and what do I like about them. I think they're absolutely amazing, especially for the price. This is the outer packaging of the palette. As you can see, there are 6 of them. There is a Mexico City inspired called Stay Fuego, a Marrakesh inspired called Obsessed, a Los Angeles inspired called Stay Juicy, Kyoto inspired called In Bloom, and a Shangri-La inspired called Zen Out. And what I really love about these palettes is how different they are, and there is really no similar shades across all 5 of them. Even the brown shades, which are more neutral, they just slightly differ in each palette. So even if you get all 5 of them, there's not gonna be any repetitive shades, which is absolutely amazing. They're £6.99 each, but obviously it being a Shein product, you can get amazing discounts. You can get it for a lot less than that, but I think even for £6.99 it's a really affordable palette, and I really enjoy them. Now today's video is going to be very similar to the way I did my Sabaty eyeshadow palette review, meaning first we're going to discuss these palettes and then we're going to move on to the swatches, and I will show you the eyeshadow looks I created using them. The makeup look I'm wearing now was created using the Marrakesh palette, which is probably one of my favorites, but we're going to get into ranking them in a second. I was very positively surprised even with the palettes that I didn't think are going to be that versatile, and there are definitely palettes that you can use more different ways than others, but we're gonna get into that in a second. So like I said, they cost £6.99. They contain roughly 10 grams of product. Some contain slightly more, but it's pretty much 10 grams, which is quite good. It's more than what you get, for example, in an Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. They all have 12 shades inside, and these are a mixture of shimmery and matte shades. They all have 12 months shelf life, but as I always say with powder products, you can pretty much extend that until you feel like the performance starts decreasing, and then you should definitely get a new one. So I showed you the outer packaging of the palettes, but there is a reason I haven't showed you the actual palettes yet, and that is because every single palette is a literal work of art. This is the Mexico palette. I think it's absolutely beautiful. The design doesn't carry over to the back of the palette where you have the shade names, but it does carry over to the inside of the palette, and look at these gorgeous shades. This palette really reminds me of the Subculture palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's just so beautiful. I absolutely love the green shades in it. You have this amazing yellow color. You have this red color, which you don't usually get in eyeshadow palettes because it's really hard to pull off, but it's such an amazing, versatile palette. There are so many different looks you can create using it. The only thing you need to be careful with is that with a palette like this, you really need to be careful not to muddy up the shades. You need to know the color theory. You need to know what shades you can mix with each other without muddying them up. So you won't be able to use certain shades together without them changing color and looking ugly. But as long as you're aware of that and you're careful, you will be able to create amazing looks with this palette. This is the Marrakesh palette. Once again, the back of it is just the shade names. and this is the inside of it. This is just so beautiful. It's so neutral. Literally every person on this planet could wear this. You have this gorgeous blue as a pop of color, which I didn't use today. I really wanted to, but I was just so happy with the look I created. I didn't want to mess it up. But you also have these olive shades here, which are very, very interesting. You don't normally get olive shades in eyeshadow palettes. You've got a gorgeous cranberry, you've got this fiery orange shade, which I do wear on my eye today. You have a matte and a shimmery light shade. Absolutely amazing palette. It would complement literally any person. It's just so gorgeous. This is a definite must-have. The next one is Stay Juicy, which is the Los Angeles inspired palette. Inside of it you get some very cool toned neutral shades, but you also get some amazing shimmers. I think this palette has the most shimmers out of all. You have some very interesting shimmer shades as well, for example Glitz and Tell and Fame and Excess, and you get this amazing fiery orange shade in it. So gorgeous. And now we've got the two palettes left that were the biggest surprise for me, because these don't really look like something you would be able to use on their own. The first of them is the Kyoto palette, which is so gorgeous. Even in the inside, it's really gorgeous to look at. But as soon as I opened it, I thought, there is the dark shade, there is the light shade. How am I gonna use this palette? It's definitely something that you would use as an extra, not necessarily on its own, because even though you have a shade called I Am Who I Am, it's not really that dark, to be honest. Everything is just really pastel and lightweight, and so you will definitely need some help to complete a look. You will either need to use something like a liquid liner or a pencil or another eyeshadow palette. You will need to create contrast using something else, because these shades are all very similar as far as darkness goes. And so I wasn't really sure what am I gonna do with this palette, but honestly the quality of it is so good, and you get one of my favorite shades, which is this duochrome one. I always love these purple duochrome shades, so I was completely hooked. And just generally speaking, the neutral shades as well are gorgeous. Such a unique blue shade. It's a really beautiful palette. I just don't really see myself taking this with me on a holiday when I only can pick one palette, because as I said, it's really hard to complete an eyeshadow look using it. And then we have the Shangri-La inspired palette, which, as you can already tell from the outside, is a blue and green palette. Now, I'll be honest with you, the only reason I got this palette was because it was part of the collection. I never in a million years would have gone out of my way to pick up this palette in particular. I just don't really tend to wear blue at all. I love these two green shades here, but I wouldn't purchase a whole palette for that. And so this was the palette I was the least excited about when I originally purchased them. However, once I did the eyeshadow look that I will show you in a second, I was the most impressed with this palette. It's a really good quality. You get such a nice hue of different shades of blue that you can completely do a blue or a green eyeshadow look without the help of any other palette. The only thing I would complain about is that there's no really a nice icy white shade in here that I could use in the inner corner or to lighten up certain areas. But other than that, it's a really, really good palette. This shimmery blue is absolutely amazing. Like I said, I love these two green shades here. You got this gorgeous dark turquoise shade. It's a gorgeous palette and I was really impressed with it. So as I promised, I'm gonna rank these palettes for you just to give you an idea which ones were my favorite and my least favorite ones. And there were some surprises, meaning I surprised myself because when I originally purchased these palettes, I imagined the ranking to be completely different. I was the most excited about the Stay Fuego palette, simply because it's so colorful. There are so many different makeup looks I could create using it, but it actually didn't turn out to be my favorite, and the reason being is because, like I said, shades can muddy up. I actually had to film 2 different looks using this palette because the first one turned out to be absolutely awful. So you can't just sit down and start doing whatever you want with this palette, because that's what I normally do when I film these makeup looks that I show you on my channel. I sit down and I just do whatever I want because that's what I enjoy to do. I want to be creative and just do whatever makeup look comes in my mind, and that's what I try to do using this palette. I basically started placing different shades next to each other and then lightly blend them into each other, but some shades just started muddying up, and actually once you started blending them out, some of them disappeared. For example, this mint one is really hard to work with. It just doesn't really want to stay there. And even the darker shades just tend to disappear once you started blending them. So I actually wasn't as happy with this palette as I thought I would be. The yellow shade is really, really good and the shimmery shades are amazing, but some of the shades that I was excited about, for example, the mint color, just don't work, and you need to be very careful with what you do with this palette, which is, I think, not what most of us would like to do. Yeah, it's still a gorgeous palette, it's still very versatile, but just not my personal favorite out of these 5. So let's see what is the number 1 then. Well, it definitely has to be Marrakesh, the one I'm wearing now. Like I said, this is a palette that literally anyone could wear and it would look good. You can do a more olive, more cool tone look. You can do a very warm look. You can use the orange one, the cranberry one, or the blue one as a pop of color. You can do so many different makeup looks. You have very light shade, matte and shimmery, which is amazing. You have a dark brown, a dark red, and a dark green. So again, so many possibilities. I can totally see myself going on a holiday with this palette and creating a completely different makeup look every single day. Number 2 has to be the Los Angeles palette, because again, there are just so many possibilities. Amazing glitters in this palette. Like I said before, you get some very special glittery shades in this one. All the other palettes have your very traditional shimmery shades, but in this one you get some more special ones. You get a very, very dark brown and some very light shades. So again, you could completely just take this one with you on a holiday and create different looks every single day. This fiery orange shade is such a gorgeous pop of color. You also get this really dark purplish brown shade that's also amazing. You get a medium cool toned and warm toned brown shade, so you can use either of them in the crease, and yeah, it's just such an amazing versatile palette. It's definitely a lot warmer than the Marrakesh one, and because everything is so warm a part of this brown shade, I feel like the looks you can create is more limited, but it is definitely on the second place because of all those amazing shimmers in it. Now, despite all the negative things I mentioned before, I would still put the Mexico City palette on the 3rd place because it is still an amazing palette. You have so many different shades, and as long as you're careful, you will be able to create some amazing looks. I can totally see myself using these 3 in the corner, or maybe adding a little bit of this grayish olive shade as well. You have some really amazing colors. These 4 in the top row are so colorful, and you get some amazing shimmers as well. I absolutely love these 2. So you can still create a lot of eyeshadow looks, but you just need to be careful not to use too many of them. And despite of what I originally thought, I actually have the Zen Art palette on the 4th place, because whilst I wouldn't take this one with me on a holiday, it's not something you can use on its own. There are a very limited number of looks you can create using only this palette, but still the quality is amazing, and As I said, I was very positively surprised. It's very hard to pull off good quality blue shades, especially for this price point, and they totally did it. This blue, for example, is gorgeous. These blue shades are a much better quality than the blue shade in the Mexico palette. However, they are also slightly darker. Like I said, I would probably use this palette in combination with some of the other palettes, and then I wouldn't be disappointed. It's an amazing addition. It just doesn't really work on its own. And that is also the reason why the Kyoto palette is so far down on my list. This is the number 5. The shades are beautiful. Everything works fine. I just don't really see myself using this palette on its own at all. I can't complete a look using only this palette, whilst I can using the Zen Out palette. With this one, there's really nothing I can do. There are only a couple of shimmery shades, these two and this one. There's only one that's actually lighter than the rest of the shades in the palette, and even that's not that significantly lighter that it would help you brighten up any area of the eye. I just don't see myself using this palette on its own, and because it has so many neutral shades, I don't really feel like I would take this with me even as an extra if I go somewhere. So yeah, it's a gorgeous palette if pastel shades is what you're looking for. I just don't really see myself reaching for this because there's nothing really I can do with this palette alone. You can do some fun looks with it, don't get me wrong. I can see myself using one shade all over the lid and then adding a white liner on the crease. You can create things like that, obviously, but compared to some of the other palettes on this list, I just don't really feel like this is worth the money. So now that we finished ranking these palettes, I'm gonna jump right into showing you the eyeshadow looks I created using them. As I said, this is one of the looks that I'm wearing today. I just finished filming it. I will also show you the swatches of these eyeshadow palettes because I know how important it is to see every single shade before you decide to purchase these palettes. I will also leave a link to these eyeshadow palettes down below just to help you guys purchase it easier. These were not sent to me by Shein or Sheglam. I purchased them from my own money. They don't even know I'm reviewing them, but I just thought if you guys do want to pick it up, I'm just gonna make it easier for you. Let's jump right into the swatches and the makeup looks, and I will see you back here after.
Shine bright up all night, we're never slowing down. Fall in love, drunk mistakes, we're bound to hit the ground. Gotta keep this feeling, keep on breathing, even if we're slipping away. So I close my eyes and lose myself now. Do it like it's only today. We got a party for a lifetime. No, we ain't stopping for the sunrise. And we don't care about the bad nights. If for a second I can feel like this, make me feel like this. 'Cause I'm selfish, get jealous. I feel a little helpless. My whole world has shifted again. You made a promise, I kept it. Now I'm second guessing. My whole world has shifted again. Now I drive back to an empty room, and it's setting in. Now that your things are gone, what have I done? Was everything worth this? I guess I deserve this. Why do I run whenever I'm hurting? I guess I'm still learning how to love. What have I I'm seeing shadows where I go. I'm still searching for the right road, and I try, but it's useless every time. Stuck in my head though, and I know that I'll be here till I let go. And I try, but it's useless every time. Now I drive back to an empty home, and it's setting in. Now that your things are gone, what have I done? Was everything worth this? I guess I deserve this. Why do I run whenever I'm hurting? I guess I'm still learning how to love. Was it the voice? Was it the fire burning in me? All of the noise turned into choirs of harmony. Left me with the pieces of forever that you broke. But since you left me alone, I've been high. I've been high. Lately I've been high. with the fire burning in me. All of the noise turned into choirs of harmony. Left me with the pieces of forever that you broke. But since you left me alone, I've been high. I've been high. Lately I've been high.
For so long, I was living my life, oh so wrong. Always numb in my mind, battled on, building scars from the knife, so far gone. I was blind. So now that I found what I was looking for, I'm shining a light on the dark that I was coming from. It never broke me down to my knees, where it wanted me to be. Turn on the love for myself, go on, won't go down. I see me for me. As it falls out of sight, setting on all the shadows that I've overcome, pulling stars from the night, one by one, no longer blind. So now that I found what I was looking for, I'm shining a light on the dark that I was coming from. It never broke me down to my knees, where it wanted me to be. Turn on the love for myself, go on, won't go down. I see me for me. I see me.
I found a picture we took many years ago, when I said to you we would never grow old. Messages I've saved that I never sent, cause I don't know you, but I used to back then. I remember that I was drunk out my mind when we kissed for the first time. In the back of your car we passed out counting stars. Promised all these years we'd pack our things and disappear. I never thought I would see you here after all this time.
after all this time. I remember that I was drunk out my mind when we kissed for the first time. In the back of your car, we passed out counting stars. Promised all these years we'd pack our things and disappear. I never thought I would see you here.
So those are all the looks I created using these palettes. I hope you guys enjoyed that little video and this review overall as well. If you did, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I would love to have you here. And until next time, take care of yourself. I will see you very soon. Bye.
Place you with somebody out there.
If I didn't chase you, would you even care?
And if I lost my mind, would you come?